Huh. I woke up just before 7 a.m. my time on Friday, July 12th to grab a coffee and a cookie and sit in my chair to watch BreyerFest open for its first day. The store wouldn't open for me for 2 whole hours, and my online SRs wouldn't be shown to me until then either. I was connected to hobby friends over chat and text so we could share updates. The feed went live, the crowds rolled in, and it wasn't long before we knew the surprise. Winx. Or rather Emerson, but the mare version. I'm admitting now I left her off my list because while I adore her, she's just sort of standing there. We shared pictures back and forth of the surprise variations that were popping up and counting how many colors were made. We anxiously anticipated variation reveals for the other SRs, but they just weren't coming. Let me rewind here real fast to my BreyerFest loophole plan. Volunteer, Diorama, and Best Customs Contest. When the 2024 theme was announced, I was determined to go. I love the theme. I've wanted to attend BreyerFest for at least 12 years or so, but due to becoming a mom young and having a job that was super stingy with days off, personal health concerns, and finances, I was never able to go until 2021 when online tickets were officially an option. And actually, I'm going to rewind even further to late 2022 when I started researching specific tack I wanted to make as a regalia entry in a performance class for a live show. Then Breyer announced the theme class for BCC 2023, Dressed to Impress. It felt like happenstance, a theme class when I was currently engrossed in this idea and I knew I had to try. The more involved I got in my research, however, the more I realized I wouldn't know enough about it to make a solid entry for the BCC. I kept learning and researching, but mentally put it on the back burner for later. Then, in January, this year's BCC was announced, and not only was the prize one of my top favorite molds, the tack category was back. This was my first planned loophole. If I could finish an entry and if I could somehow make it to a finalist position, I would have to deliver my entry to the horse park in person, essentially making it so I had to go to BreyerFest. So I dove back into my research and collecting materials, testing technique and assembling an accurate set the best I could. In November 2023, I booked my stay at the Embassy Suites. The moment tickets went on sale, I bought one for in-person and started saving my money. In the spring, when volunteer applications opened, I turned mine in right before the March 20th deadline. This was my second loophole. If I was selected to volunteer, I had to go to BreyerFest. This loophole was closed pretty quickly, however. On April 12th, I learned my proposed ideas for things to share in the hobby tent weren't needed, and I wasn't chosen to volunteer. My first loophole was closed. I kept working on my BCC entry. I stayed up all night. Literally, I never went to bed. A couple nights trying to figure things out. I was making a 1/9 version of tack I had never seen in person from an entirely different country. I was hand dyeing cloth and cord so it all matched. I was hand painting different cut pieces over and over because I wanted it to be just right. I wrote up my entry information 2 days in advance and triple checked it was what I wanted to say. Then, on June 7th, the day the entries were due, I put down everything I was working on because I knew I just wasn't going to make it. Too much had broken, there was too much left to assemble and put on my model, and I hadn't even taken any pictures. My next loophole was closed. And this was a tough one. I started seeing people share their entries online and how proud they were, and I had given mine so much time, money, and effort. I essentially mourned my loss at not being able to enter. I switched gears really quickly for the diorama contest, my last loophole. A winning diorama could be displayed at the park, which could be a reason to go. I had loads of pop culture ideas, but none of them spoke to me as strongly as Breakfast at Tiffany's. I wasn't sure how to make the window scene fill up an entire diorama in an appealing way, and I also wanted to share Audrey in general as a major influence on pop culture in both fashion and beauty. I made miniature versions of awards she'd won. Added a few facts, created replica magazine covers and movie posters. I made her Hollywood star and put Mini Winnies in outfits from some of Audrey's films. I made a mini jewelry window display with horse tack hardware and trimmed them with wood frame, and even used Breyer box plastic for the window panes. I made little versions of her signature holly necklace and tiara and dress and gloves, sort of. I made sure she had her breakfast pastry, and even Kat came along for the photo shoot. And because I'm me, I installed twinkle lights. It had to have twinkle lights. At 1 minute to the deadline on June 21st, I submitted my entry. On June 29th, at like 10 p.m. my time, I realized my messy inbox held a DocuSign from Breyer that they'd like to put my diorama pictures on the website. I was thrilled, naturally, but the DocuSign was 2 days old and I started to panic that I'd messed up by not signing it sooner. The form generated a new copy since the original had expired. I signed and sent it, knowing the fine print said winners would be chosen by the following morning. On Monday, when the fine print had mentioned potential winners might be notified, nothing came. Nothing came Tuesday or Wednesday or any other day that week. And yes, really, it shouldn't be a big deal. And yes, happily, I won last year, which I'm still grateful for. So I kinda already had my turn. Athenian Lady is so pretty though, and I had worked so hard on this entry. And if you're like me with RSD, then gosh, it's easy to say no big deal, but it is tricky to not get lost in those feelings. And while I tried to center the diorama around Audrey, I totally forgot Breakfast at Tiffany's has a racist stereotype, which is not cool, and forgetting that is on me. So it's probably better this one didn't win. I did spend a solid day or two mourning that loss, though. My third loophole was closed. I consoled myself with thinking back to the springtime online model show Breyer held, Boot Camp. I woke up on the morning of May 31st to find a message from fellow hobbyist and artist Teddy. Boot camp results were trickling in but not officially posted, and Teddy had sent me a screenshot. I was viewing it on my phone, so it was really small, but I did recognize their model and the first place banner underneath it. I also recognized my horse next to theirs with the second place note. I congratulated Teddy on their well-deserved win. And then I saw the top section banner. CMCHRS Overall Custom. My horse didn't win second, I'd won reserve. That was a win I could refer back to and be happy about. I'd only finished 2 customs for boot camp, and my other one, a little donkey, also took first place in its class. Massive thank you to Jennifer Buxton, the judge over CMs, who saw a little something in my work. I believe my reserve win earned me a model from Breyer, so I plan to unbox that and my ribbons in a BreyerFest haul video. Now, back to hoping and wishing that against all odds I could somehow still get to BreyerFest. My 3 loopholes were shut down, but I still had my hotel and I still had my ticket. I looked at flights. They're incredibly expensive. Also, like a jerk, Google decided to show me that flights to Kentucky were more expensive than flying to Maui. No offense, Lexington, but if I had to pick, I figured if I'm going to be paying for a hotel anyway, and if I can't get out of parenting for the weekend, I might as well share it with my kids. They've been wanting to go to BreyerFest too since I've been going on and on about it the last few years. So, an idea. Let's rent an RV. We'll make it a road trip. But that's nearly a 1,700-mile trip in one direction, and RV rentals have a max mileage per day. If I adhered to that, it would take us 13 days just to get there. So, a last resort, rent a car. It would save us fuel since my daily is a major gas hog, and I admittedly didn't want to put all those miles on mine. It would be hard, but it would be doable, and even with adding 2 more hotel stays, the rental fees, and gas, it was cheaper than flying. I even posted a high-dollar model for sale in the Rare group, hoping I'd have a little extra funding for the trip, and I could use hand delivery of the sold model as another excuse to go. He had a line of buyers, and I went with the first person to message me. Sold. But at 10 minutes to the free cancellation deadline on Saturday, July 6th, we realized we just couldn't do it. It was just too expensive. We were out of time. I canceled my hotel. It was official. I wasn't going to BreyerFest. But that's okay. I still have my ticket, and luckily a kind hobbyist named Shannon accepted my very late request for pickups. I'll be unboxing and unwrapping those models for my haul video. So fast forward back to Friday morning as we're waiting for variations to come in and for the store to open. On the feed, Kimber showed us that there was a color variation on the event stablemate, a color shift alternative, and finally, variations start to appear. They're very subtle. This year we saw a color variation, but only in tiny markings. We saw a tail variation, no mane, which admittedly is pretty cool, and I hope to see them use this version more often. And we saw a finish variation, which is very odd, seeing as Breyer has never revealed a gloss model and then issued a matte variation. And that was all. Nothing loud, nothing colorful, nothing obviously apparent for the 35th anniversary. If you look at run numbers though, which was shared in an in-person program online folks couldn't get and was later shared on the blog, the variations are 35% of the run total, which undoubtedly caters better to large crowds more than a micro run of 35 total pieces because more people have a chance to get a variation. I assume that's what Jamie meant with "it'll make more sense afterwards." I also assume the commemorative pieces were the program for in-person attendees and the poster in the store. While I was waiting for my SRs to appear online, I quickly referred back to my preference forms that I'd taken screenshots of right before I sent them in. I ended up getting a variety of tickets this year, and while I did consider the VIP only to secure that mare in full, I just couldn't manage that cost. The swag bag wasn't that enticing to me, parking was already included for everyone, so that was no longer a perk, and I just couldn't pay for all my models up front. So with my one in-person TA, my preferences were, first, I Will Survive. I definitely wanted the Quagga, and it was only available in person. Second, Fighter and Survivor. I really wanted that mare in full. Third, Better Than Revenge. I love the deco. Fourth, Fight Song, because this is an in-person ticket, so I may as well put the only available in-person models higher up as preferences. Fifth, a surprise. Definitely need some surprises. Sixth, Sorry Not Sorry, again with the in-person preferences. Seventh, Can't Hold Us Down, who is cute, and I really do like the IP very much, but I figured she might not be hard to get later. And eighth, Miss Independent. She's cute too, but also available online, so she's lower on my request list. And I did not get what I asked for. Not really. Rather than all my other preferences, I was issued my seventh choice. For my first online access ticket, I'd asked for Better Than Revenge as first place. I do want the deco. Second, Fighter and Survivor. Again, I really want that mare in full. Third, a surprise. Fourth, the IP. And fifth, Miss Independent. My second online access ticket went surprise. I always need at least one. The mare full. I wanted them so much. Better Than Revenge. Can't Hold Us Down. And Miss Independent. Again, very nice, but I figured I could get her later. And these ones didn't give me what I requested either. Not entirely. I did buy one more ticket after the preference deadline because, like a hopeless romantic, I figured we'd see plenty of variations. This was a random assignment ticket since online wasn't allotted wildcards. Even with an additional random selection, I still didn't quite land what I was hoping for. One of my SRs I offered back to my pickup person, and another one was shipped to a friend. I did lastly get one stablemate ticket. I don't quite care for this year's event stablemates, but I always do like to have at least one from each year I attend, so we'll see who I get. And as soon as that shop opened, I fumbled around with adding one SR to my cart and a couple of LEs. As I tried to get through checkout, the website was stalling, and the best of set was snatched right out of my cart. I really wanted that set. I know they typically go fast, but I've never seen them sell out within minutes of the store opening, or right out from under me. And having learned my lesson last year with Buggy, I sent my first order through even though I wasn't done, just so I could secure at least one wild thing. I'm kinda hoping I get the regular version. My kids were awake by now, so after getting them breakfast, I went back for LEs that I skipped on the first order for sake of being fast. but I missed the crystal. I love that crystal and I really wanted one. I missed the poster. I had debated on that shirt I wanted last year, but it's pretty pricey, so I sort of only accidentally missed that one. And then I missed the limited editions. I figured I'd get an Allen at least, but he sold out much faster than I anticipated. I debated on Zeus just because I have a few other Breyer portrait Mustangs, so I kind of wanted him, but I'm unsure about the questionable chatter surrounding the sanctuary, and I missed the initial in-stock inventory. With backorder being the only option, and then a family event on Sunday, the store closed before I could really decide. Tickets were announced as sold out on Friday, which really surprised me. It was mentioned that same day that the surprise was also sold out. I'm not sure how quickly Saturday's raffle model tickets sold out, but I heard Sunday's went fast. This year's third color in the volunteer model was also revealed, a light chestnut, which I love. I was offered a great deal on one too by a very kind hobbyist. I told the seller not to hold her for me though, because they did hope to sell in person and I needed to move some money around first. Had I not agreed to take payments on that previously mentioned expensive model that I had hoped to deliver at BreyerFest, I could have bought the BGB outright, but alas, that one got away from me too. So close. There were no real grab bags or warehouse finds online, but instead bundles of past BF merch and models you could pick from, which was nice to see exactly what you were getting. Aside from the 2023 grab bags, which I heard are leftover grab bags from 2023, not that it includes 2023 BreyerFest models, but more of a mix of 2022 and older items. All of the fun warehouse finds available online went to auction and became, for me at least, unaffordable, but it looks like the in-person store had a few bins of awesome warehouse stuff. The online raffles were bundles of regular run merchandise, which would be really fun for some collectors to win, but compared to online raffles from years past, I didn't feel the need to enter. For this year, I was also really looking forward to the CC tent reveals that would appear on social media of upcoming models. But we didn't get much there either. This upcoming Lipizan Mare Antonia is lovely, and I'll probably get one of her. And the little Web Special Unicorn looks pretty charming too. I'll have to check him out once he's released. They did have upcoming Stablemate Club models, and an itty-bitty Horatio. I imagine he was adorable in person. I did see that the 2024 Halloween 1/9 horse was in attendance, and he looks the same as the initial reveal. I don't have any other comments about this guy right now, but I may when I do my Halloween haul. And with no Halloween peaks from Breyer like we saw last year, and even better peaks we got in 2021, I was left feeling unsatisfied. Shipping ended up being delayed longer than usual because of the large amount of orders, and I did read some people had their in-stock purchase of Blue Zeus be pushed to the backorder stock. Although, for those who didn't cancel their order, the accidentally backordered Zeuses will receive a $20 credit for future purchases and a Zeus enamel pin. That's pretty cool. I'm glad Breyer is working to make up for the fulfillment error. Way back when tickets went on sale, promotional mailers were sent out with old BreyerFest ticket pricing published, but Breyer's website already had the raised prices. I didn't really care for show clicks either. They can't go back and see my tickets. With other platforms, there are easy-to-use apps, and I can still see all my past tickets, like my Yankees seats in 2015. I really love ephemera and having little keepsakes too, but this year I won't get a wristband, and I won't have any sort of paper ticket. There are always kinks to work out with changes like this, and I heard the in-person folks had a tougher time of it. Hopefully things get better. I am trying to look on the bright side of BF this year, but I'm feeling like 2024 was off somehow. I wasn't compelled to stay close to a screen for the weekend. I usually watch the live auction too, but when the website wanted my driver's license to participate, and I totally get why they do this now, I didn't even hang around to watch. I also usually always submit a post-BreyerFest survey, but this year I never felt eager to fill it out, and then spaced it entirely. Which might suggest a lackluster mood toward the event? I don't know. It feels like for me this year has been a whole lot of not yets and even flat out no's. I'm generally pretty positive and try not to feel too bad or negative about things and do my best to have nice things to say. So, to land this experience video on the positive side, I really am hugely grateful for the online aspect. I'm one of the many attendees who has only ever been able to experience BreyerFest virtually. I'm thankful content stays up for weeks afterwards so we can all catch up and rewatch. There were fantastic classes this year too, and I bought all 4 virtual ones. There was so much content I couldn't consume it all in time. I always appreciate the archive room peeks, and giving the Kellys a more personal spotlight was really cool. I loved hearing from Leslie Kathman on the colors and markings chosen for some of the live auction models this year. And I think Athenian Lady was a perfect celebration horse. I love her story, and her owner seems incredibly sweet. I'm also glad we finally got another mare. I'm crossing my fingers we get another mare for 2025. And also pre-plotting how I'll make it there in person. I hope to be back soon with a BF haul unboxing video, and I hope you had a wonderful BreyerFest. Thanks for watching.